Title: The Turning Point. It was a damp Tuesday evening in March when Emily Carter found herself sitting alone in her small, rented apartment in the city. The rain tapped persistently against the windows, a soft soundtrack to her swirling thoughts. At 35, Emily felt caught in a liminal space between who she had been and who she wanted to become. Life, with all its choices and uncertainties, had begun to weigh heavily on her. For the past decade, Emily had worked as a marketing manager for a mid-sized tech company. It was a stable job with decent pay, but it lacked passion. She often found herself staring at her computer screen, wondering if this was all life had to offer. Outside of work, her relationships seemed equally unfulfilling. She had drifted apart from old friends and had been single for years, not because she didn't want love, but because she feared getting hurt again. That evening, Emily received an unexpected email that would change everything. The subject line read, "An invitation to reconnect." It was from Sarah, her best friend from college, someone she hadn't spoken to in over 12 years. Sarah's email was warm and nostalgic, reminding Emily of carefree days spent dreaming about their futures. At the end of the email, Sarah invited her to a weekend retreat in the countryside to celebrate her upcoming birthday. Emily hesitated. She had a presentation to prepare for work, and the idea of stepping out of her carefully constructed routine felt daunting. But something inside her yearned for connection and spontaneity. After a restless night of debating, she decided to go. The retreat was held at a cozy farmhouse surrounded by rolling hills. When Emily arrived, she was greeted by a group of strangers and Sarah, who enveloped her in a hug, so warm it felt like no time had passed. Over the weekend, Emily participated in group activities, shared stories by the fire, and rediscovered parts of herself she had long buried. She realized how much she missed meaningful conversations and how disconnected she had become from her own desires. On the last night, Sarah pulled Emily aside. "I've been meaning to tell you something," she said. Her voice was hesitant but kind. "Remember how you used to talk about opening your own bookstore cafe? You've always had such a love for books and creating spaces where people can connect. Why haven't you done it yet?" Emily's heart sank. She had almost forgotten that dream. Practicality had overshadowed passion, and fear of failure had kept her rooted in the familiar. But Sarah's words reignited a spark. When Emily returned to the city, she couldn't shake the idea. She spent evenings researching how to start a business, learning about leases, suppliers, and funding. She started small, setting up an online store selling curated book bundles and hosting virtual book clubs. To her surprise, the response was overwhelmingly positive. Yet, the journey was not without challenges. Balancing her full-time job and her growing side project left her exhausted. Her savings dwindled as she invested in the business, and self-doubt crept in. There were nights when she wondered if she had made a mistake. One evening, Emily received a letter from a customer named Mark. He thanked her for creating a community that had helped him cope with the loneliness of the pandemic. His words moved her to tears. It was a reminder that her work was making a difference. Months turned into a year, and Emily's bookstore cafe, aptly named The Turning Page, finally became a reality. It was a quaint space filled with books, comfortable chairs, and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. The cafe quickly became a hub for readers, writers, and dreamers. As Emily stood behind the counter one evening, watching a young couple laugh over coffee and an elderly man engrossed in a novel, she felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Life was still unpredictable and challenging, but she had learned to embrace the unknown. Emily's journey was far from over. There were still relationships to mend, fears to overcome, and new dreams to chase. But for the first time in years, she felt alive. She had taken a leap of faith and discovered that sometimes the hardest choices lead to the most rewarding paths. And so, under the soft glow of the cafe lights, Emily Carter turned the page to a new chapter in her life, one filled with purpose, connection, and hope.